What's up everybody? Welcome to this video. So today we're going to talk about WVD pool logic, and this video will be less of a tutorial in the sense of, hey, here's a step-by-step process of how to do something, and it's more of an information video talking about kind of the overall logic behind WVD pools and the way they're configured on the back end. So with that, let's jump to the next slide. Here we go. And so this slide is a good graphical demonstration of the logical flow behind the resources. So starting all the way on the left side here, we have the golden image. And you can see the golden image as a one-time snapshot for new resources in the WVD environment. So that has to do with new dedicated desktops for users or new pool templates if you were to be creating a new pool. So the important thing to note with that is our recommendation, which is to always keep the golden image as clean as possible. Don't do many, if any, customizations on the golden image. That's just a standard Azure Marketplace image, and we like to keep it fresh. And the reason is because the pool templates themselves should be the authority for the pools. All customizations, all changes, all user modifications should be done on the pool templates. If you do that on the golden image and it throws an error or there's an issue, it is a very difficult process to get a new golden image added to your environment. And there's really no reason to do those customizations on the golden image because you can never update existing resources and have those resources excuse me, utilize those updates. So golden image, one-time snapshot, keep it clean. Next column here, the pool templates. Like I just mentioned, the pool template is the authority for the entire pool, and each pool has its own template. So pool template A, you're going to customize for the subset of users who will get applied or assigned to pool template A. So maybe they're general users, they've got, the office applications, maybe they've got a few line of business applications, and that's about it, right? You make those customizations to pool template A. Go to pool template B, it's for a different collection of users. Maybe they're the accounting users, you need to make sure QuickBooks is on there and some other accounting software. So you customize each pool template for the use case of the users. All right, once that pool template has been customized, you power it off, you set it as image, and it becomes the authority for all session hosts in the environment. You see the next column there. Session hosts are the virtual machines which actually host the user's desktop experience, if you will. So when user one, as you can see there on the right, logs in, it's their session is their virtual hard drive is going to get mounted on a session host. They'll see all the applications, all the software that's been installed on the session host. They'll do their work. When they sign out, their virtual hard drive will get released and it'll get stored on FSO1, the file server, and the session host there can get blown away if you like, right? The session host is almost like the engine behind their session, but it doesn't store any critical user data whatsoever. So what that means is, let's say the environment's been up and running for a month or two, and you need to make some subsequent updates, right? So you go to the pool template, you update the applications, install maybe a new software or something like that. You then push the update to the session hosts, or you can delete all the session hosts in a pool and you can just create brand new session hosts. The session hosts are just the physical resources required to run the user session. So you delete the session hosts, add in new ones, a user is assigned, they go to log in, they're assigned to the brand new session host, and they're often working just as if nothing changed for them, right? Because their desktop backgrounds, my documents, favorites, their default browser, all that stuff is saved on the file server and it's redirected to the session host when they authenticate. So hopefully this makes sense and it kind of helps to clarify the logical flow and the connection between the resources on the back end. But before we conclude the video, I just want to go over a few terms and definitions, things that are good for you to understand as you're working with WVD pools, and just kind of the logic on the back and WVD resources in general. So you probably heard the term scale in, scale out, scale up, scale down. It can be a little bit confusing, but basically what it means is scaling in and scaling out is used when referencing the addition or subtraction of virtual machines within a pool. And what that means is, let's say we're talking about pool A, and pool A is set to have a maximum number of session hosts at 5, right? Max capacity, it'll have 5 session hosts. Well, if it currently has 3 session hosts and you were to scale out the pool, that means adding a 4th session host. If it's at 3 session hosts and you were to scale in the pool, that means the subtraction of a session host down to 2 session hosts. So that's kind of how the terminology applies there. Scaling up versus scaling down has to do with the addition or subtraction of resources applied to a specific virtual machine. So let's say you have a line of business server that is currently sitting at a D8 SV3, right? If you need that server at full capacity during work hours, but not on the weekends, after hours, when users aren't in the environment working, you could actually scale down that virtual machine and set it to sit at a D2 SV3 after hours and on the weekends, and then it'll scale back up to a D8 SV3 once the workday starts. So that's kind of the difference between scale in, scale out, scale up, scale down, and when those terms are applied effectively. The last thing is just to note, obviously we use scale in and scale out when talking about our WVD pools. And the way the scale out works is it will either add a brand new host or it will boot up a standby host. And what a standby host is a host that's already been built, but it's turned off, it's deallocated, which means the actual compute has been released, but the disk is sitting there. So it's a little more expensive than having no resources whatsoever, but it's a lot cheaper than having just an additional host on and running, waiting for new users to sign in. So it's also quicker too. It's much faster to power on an existing session host than it is to rebuild a brand new one. So that is the standby host. And then the final thing is updates push to hosts. That needs to be done either manually or by recreating a brand new host. So we've had partners who thought that just restarting the session host or powering it off, deallocating it, powering it back on would make it so when the session host boots back up, it looks at the template and says, hey, what should I look like? In reality, that's not the case. The virtual machine will see itself as its own reference, and the only way to get it to update from the template is to either push an update manually or delete that session host altogether and create a brand new one. Awesome. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully this video helps to clarify some of the logic on the back end. And with that, I will see you on the next one.